This obsession with healing makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. If you're constantly on a healing journey, it's like, bitch, at what point are you good? I want to talk about spirituality today because I feel like I have been on such a journey and I feel like a lot of people can probably relate. I feel like for me, like my relationship with spirituality has changed over the years. Not just like what you would think about like spirituality in terms of like the materialistic sense, like crystals and tarot cards and stuff like that. I was more into just like reading about spirituality, Eckhart Tolle, Joe Dispenza, manifestation, meditation, just like doing all the things to kind of like learn about yourself, changing your core beliefs and doing all those things. For me, my spiritual journey started to kind of get a bit out of that zone, and it kind of started turning into more of like, I wouldn't call it spiritual psychosis, but like it started kind of getting into the zone of like every single thing that was happening day to day, I saw it as something spiritual, and it kind of started to make me feel a bit depressed and crazy, and like I just wasn't able to fully understand what was going on in the world because I was literally looking at everything as this like super intense spiritual thing. And I feel like this has happened to so many people, especially like just over the past few years. Like I feel like so many people have gotten into spirituality and manifestation and crystals and all these different things. And I just want to talk about kind of how I view spirituality now and the ways in which I think it maybe hasn't been beneficial for me. But also the ways that I feel like it's kind of helped me learn as a person. I just think it's really, really interesting to see the evolution of like how people on like a mass scale connect with the higher power, just in any sense. And I will say, I do feel like a lot of people are really religious right now, which I think makes a lot of sense just because the way the world is, and religion has always been something that people can kind of go to help themselves feel better and feel less scared, especially as the world is changing and there's crazy things like wars going on and the economy getting bad. And I feel like it makes sense to see people kind of going back to the church and going back to, you know, again, these like standard religions in order to feel more safe, in order to feel more in control. And let me say this, I do believe in God. Like I'm not someone who is atheist or doesn't believe in, I grew up Christian, I grew up going to the church. I still believe in the existence of Jesus Christ, so maybe I would be considered a Christian, but at the same time, I'm really open to every religion. I honestly do believe that most religions and spirituality are kind of saying the same thing and trying to achieve the same thing. And so personally, like my belief, if you are curious, is that like what you believe can be true as long as you're trying to be a good person and follow God. And, you know, I just believe that I don't believe that someone who is in Asia and practices Zen Buddhism is going to hell. And like, I don't believe that someone who is Christian is completely wrong either. I just think that everybody's been told different things, and it's like playing the game telephone. Like eventually over time, especially like centuries, when we tell the same story and we spread it across the globe, it's gonna be translated and it's gonna come out a different way. But ultimately, like when you really study all the different religions, and again, you kind of like look into Eastern religions and mythicism and all these different things, a lot of people are just saying the same thing, but like in a different language. So I just want to preface this by kind of saying that like I do still believe in God and a higher power. I believe that we as humans just don't know as much as we think that we do, and we try to make sense of things by following texts and all this stuff. But I just feel like a lot of like the knowledge that we're looking for when it comes to like a higher power and understanding what's happening in the world, I think a lot of the knowledge that we're looking for comes from within. Okay, sorry, I had to go blow my nose, guys. It's getting cold in New York, and my building, the heat is not on yet, so I am literally bundled up like freezing cold. I did not eat, like I'm still wearing a hoodie. I woke up this morning, drank my coffee. I just cannot today because it's so cold in my apartment and my nose is running and I'm just, I can barely function. But anyways, I was saying that like I do feel like a lot of the knowledge that we're looking for kind of just comes from within. I think that you can find that knowledge from being in nature and just being present and listening to yourself and meditating and doing yoga. You can talk to God, you can pray, you can read your Bible, like you have your own access to God. And so I feel like that's kind of why I started getting into spirituality. Remember, I like had traveled abroad and I met all these like really cool people. They were kind of like hippy dippy type people, and they were just talking to me about like how they view God and how they view the world, and like just so many different things that I had never heard of, like going to school in Texas and growing up in like a small town in Virginia. So I just was like super intrigued by it. I remember getting back from my study abroad experience and I like got into Eckhart Tolle, and I started reading Alan Watts, I think, and just reading all these different people and like really discovering the power of like coming back to the present and understanding that like, again, you can access, you know, like love within yourself, and there's like vibration and all these different things. I just really started getting into spirituality and like reading about it and just really understanding like, why am I the way that I am? Why do I have the beliefs that I do? And how can I like manifest and just do all these things to really like better myself? I think for me, like spirituality and like self-improvement kind of went hand in hand. And around that time I was reading like a lot of like self-improvement books too. So anyways, 2019 is like when I really got into spirituality. I would say around like 2022 was when I started to kind of like questioning like, okay, I don't know if this is like, I think 2022 is when I kind of started like becoming less spiritual, I guess you could say. And I made a few videos about it, but like it really was just me kind of like realizing that like there's a limit for me and like how much spiritual knowledge I want to acquire, or like there's like a limit in how much I feel like the whole thing with spirituality that I kind of had a problem with is that it feels like once you kind of get the ball rolling on like your spiritual journey, when you start learning about spirituality, it becomes, for a lot of people, I think at least, like this journey of like wanting to learn and learn and learn and heal and heal and heal and better yourself and better yourself. And it becomes this like, almost, it feels like at least like this like never ending cycle. Sometimes I feel like the more you learn about the world and what's going on in it, and the more you learn about like love and light, the more you kind of start to understand that there is also dark and evil in the world. But sometimes when you know too much, it can be really depressing. You know what I mean? Like it can just be a bit, sometimes like, what's the saying? Like ignorance is bliss. And so I feel like I kind of went down this like rabbit hole of learning, not just about spirituality, but also just like about the world and like just everything. Like I just wanted to learn as much as I could. And I feel like it got to a point for me where it just became too much. And I started kind of feeling a bit kind of crazy, first of all, mainly just because I feel like I was learning about so many things that like other people didn't really care about or like really want to talk about. And so I remember like me and my ex were like both really into this kind of stuff, so like we would talk about it like together. But like talking to friends about stuff, like when you're learning about fucking Joe Dispenza and like Eckhart Tolle and all these things, and your friends are like not into that, you just sound like a bit crazy. It just makes you feel a bit like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like nobody understands me, you know what I mean? So like that was one thing, but it also kind of made me feel a bit depressed, I think, because it just was this never ending journey of wanting to self-improve and heal. I feel like this obsession with healing makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you're constantly on a healing journey, it's like, bitch, at what point are you good? Like just be fucking normal. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have, like, I think that's really what was kind of getting to me, is like I just constantly felt like, well, I'm healing, I'm unlearning, I'm doing this. It's like, girl, like why can't you just be who you are? Like at the end of the day, like life is going to be constantly throwing things at you. There's going to be things that make you sad, there's going to be things that make you happy, there's going to be changes. And so it's like, I just feel like for me, spirituality, like, I don't know, I feel like I kind of really started to kind of realize this like around 2022, is like, I just was like, girl, like no amount of meditation is going to fix the fact that like, I don't know, the world is getting more expensive and shit's just hard. Like it's just hard out here, and we just got to do our best, and we just got to like laugh and just like have fun and just not overthink things. That's just kind of really what I started kind of realizing for myself, is like, I don't know, the obsession with spirituality, even though it really, really helped me, and I still am a spiritual person, I still talk to God, I still do yoga. I don't really meditate as much. I probably should, but like I do meditate. I see like walking and like cooking a meal slowly, and honestly, like even just sitting with yourself and just breathing for like a few minutes, that is kind of like meditation. So technically I do still meditate, but yeah, I just think I really discovered for myself that like spirituality, I think the more hung up you get on it and the more you kind of make it a part of your identity and like who you are, the more egoic it becomes and the less like it's kind of like the opposite of what you're trying to do in the first place. I think like the past couple years for me have really been, for me, just a period of just kind of recognizing that like literally everything is spiritual. God is in everything. That's kind of like what I believe. And one of my favorite ever authors that I still would like recommend to this day when it comes to this kind of stuff is Alan Watts. And he kind of talks about this, like the more you kind of get hung up on this idea of like, oh, this is these curtains, my necklace, whatever, this building, this church is God, is religion, is spiritual. The more you identify one specific thing to God, the less you understand that like God is literally in everything. Like if God created all of this, then he is all of it. Like we are all, what I believe at least is that like we're just all extensions of God. Like it's just, we're all like literally just like God, like we've forgotten who we are type thing. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense, but that's just kind of like how I see it. And so I feel like I really like Alan Watts because he talks about it like the more you make spirituality even into a thing, the more you make your practices into a thing, the less you are able to see that every single second of the day you are connected to God, and like every single second of the day you are being spiritual. The whole point of this whole journey, the whole point of waking up or transcending your ego or whatever it may be, is to become present and recognize that like love, happiness, joy exists in this present moment. Whether you are worshiping God, talking to God, praying, or you're dancing, or you're hanging out with friends, or you're whatever, doing yoga. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing, you are it, right? So that's just kind of like discovering that really kind of changed my relationship, I would say, with spirituality and with even like how I view religion, because I feel like sometimes like I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel like a lot of like the institutions of, let's say, religion and like Christianity and spirituality and all these different things, like I feel like a lot of it is a money grab. Like I think people profit off of starting a like you profit off of starting a church, you know what I'm saying? You profit off of making a YouTube channel and talking about spirituality. You profit off of selling psychic readings and tarot cards and crystals, and it's like it becomes a thing because you convince people that if they participate in this one practice, if they go to church, if they do your reading, if they do the tarot cards and the crystals and all these different things, you convince them that that will make them more spiritual, when in reality, again, you could wake up in the morning and drink a cup of coffee and read your book and smoke a little cigarette. I don't smoke, but like that's just an example, I don't know. And you are still you're still spiritual. Like you're still doing a spiritual thing. Like every single thing is a spiritual journey. And so I feel like, I'm just saying this all to say that I feel like eventually at some point for a lot of people this discovery kind of happens. Maybe not, like maybe some people just like stay how they are. If you're like me, at least, like maybe you start getting into spirituality and it's like this new and crazy thing and you feel like your life is changing and all these different things. But I feel like eventually as time goes on, for a lot of people, the more you kind of get deeper into your spiritual journey, the less spiritual you really become, because you again just recognize that it's like, I'm just fucking living life. Like actually the whole point is just to wake up every day and just live your life and like laugh, have fun, try to stay obviously like positive, and like that's like the whole point, like spreading love and being a good person and being kind to people and helping people when they need it. Like that's literally what life is about, and like that's like the goal. And so again, when you kind of like look at every single religion and every single person who's into spirituality in whatever way that they are, you kind of recognize that like everybody is just saying that. Like if you listen to fucking some reggae music or you listen to a gospel choir, like they're all just saying to just be happy and spread love and to help others and care about people. Like we're all saying the same thing. Really, no matter what you're doing and no matter where you're at on your journey, you're doing a great job. Like you're here, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no, I think sometimes we're looking for like this finish line to reach, or we tie in our relationship with God we tie our relationship with God into our relationship with like money and with success and material things and what do we own. And I think that's just a product of like the government and religion coming together and like learning how to control people. It's a whole different conversation. We'll talk about this in a different video. I just think it's really, really important to recognize that like there's no perfect, and the more you kind of chase perfection, the more unhappy you're gonna be, because you're not seeing and recognizing that like there is perfection. You are like, technically you are perfect. That's the whole point of like what everybody is saying that God is trying to say. Like you are perfect in this given moment, right? And when you can really love yourself and accept yourself in this given moment, it makes it so much easier it just makes it easier to do it more and more. And then you recognize that like, okay, the only thing that I really need to focus on is just doing this again and again. It's just a practice of just being self-aware and just recognizing, okay, like, what am I saying? What am I thinking? Why am I thinking the things that I'm thinking? If I'm thinking negative thoughts, there's probably a reason that I'm thinking them, because I'm not a bad person. Like, I'm not a negative person. So if I'm thinking negative thoughts, it's maybe because I've like gotten addicted to believing that, or like saying it to myself. And maybe I am doing things that are causing me to feel negative, which is what we then call in like religion, like a sin, right? Maybe you're just listening to like really, really low vibrational music all the time, or maybe you're just around very low vibrational people, and you're just absorbing that energy, because the more like who you surround yourself with really affects you, right? So like maybe that's the reason. It's just like becoming, like really the whole point of I think any spiritual journey or like a relationship with God or whatever you want to call it, is just being self-aware, and is just being able to sit back, like observe your thoughts without identifying with them too much. And hold on, I need to drink of water because I feel like I'm talking really fast. Sometimes I feel like it's also just about recognizing when you need to take a deep breath, when you need to pause, when you need to self-regulate, and just like checking in on your nervous system. Like, I don't know, I can make a different video about this, but I feel like a huge part of all of this also is just like really learning how to like tune into your body and like understand your body's needs, and like making sure that you're eating nutritious foods. Like that's a big thing too. So I can make a different video on that, but I feel like, yeah, it's just really about like kind of being here and like recognizing that like we're here on this earth for a reason. I think spirituality talks a lot about like being in the cosmos, and like it's just like being like on a different like plane almost. But I think it's really important to recognize that like we are having a human experience for a reason, and I think it's just really important to be okay with the fact that like you're not gonna know it all. Like we're actually not meant to know everything. Like I have this one tattoo. Ew, my hands are so dry, so I'm probably not gonna show it to you guys, but I got it in Greece, and it's really just like, I got it like when I was in Athens, and I was just like learning a lot about like Greek mythology and all these different things, and I was like, holy shit, like there's so much I don't know. I like learned about like the Bible and like certain like books that they kept out of the Bible, like all these different things, and it was kind of tripping me out. And I got this tattoo to kind of remind myself, like, bitch, there's only so much that you can know. Like, it's basically this like symbol on my hand. The symbol is, I'll show it to you. My hands are really crusty, I'm so sorry. But like this is like the symbol for human. And then this eye is like, obviously like when you are into spirituality, it's like your third eye, awakening, whatever. So it's like, it's just a reminder that like you can awaken as much as you want to, but you're still a human here on this planet. And I feel like that's like kind of the beauty also in like something like maybe like religion, is like a lot of them do talk about the fact that like there's only so much that we really know here, like as earthly people. And sometimes maybe it's good to accept that. Sorry, my camera just died. But basically I was just trying to say that like there's only so much that you can really know, and like it's, I don't know, I just feel like it's for your own mental health and for your own sanity here on this earth while you are having this human experience. It may be good to kind of, I think for me at least, it was kind of helpful to like recognize that and like surrender some of my control or like my power to a higher being, to a divinity. Even though I do feel like God is within me, it's like also recognizing like, okay, there's like maybe some things I can just leave to God, because if I try to figure everything out, if I try to uncover all the mysteries of this planet and try to like, I don't know, just learn too much, I will go fucking crazy. So I'm not doing it. Like, no, sorry, there's only like, I don't need to actually, it's actually not on me to like fix the whole planet. Like that's actually like a bit freeing to like recognize. Like my role here is to do the best that I can every single day, treat people in my life with as much love as possible, right? Like, come on here, spread love, talk about things, like learn with you guys. Like, my role here is, and I think that like that's like the biggest thing, is like just recognizing like maybe it's not about being like developing superpowers and being able to fucking, I don't know, what does Joe Dispenza talk about in his book? Like, what is it? There's like some supernatural thing that you can do in his book. And it's like, maybe that's not the point. Like, maybe our point is to actually just be human beings and to do our best and to wake up every day and like love our neighbors and, I don't know, like just be good people. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, like I believe manifestation is real. I believe that you can really truly speak things into existence. I think that you can be successful and healthy and glow. Like, I think that you can be your best self and do all these different things that spirituality does talk about. That's why I do love spirituality. But I'm just coming on here to kind of like remind you that like, you don't have to know it all. Just surrender a bit, allow things to just like work out the way that they're supposed to. I don't know. I just think it's really, really important to just do your best every day and like leave it at that. You don't have to wake up at fucking 4:30 in the morning every single day and go walk 30 miles and take an ice bath and then do your tarot cards and then pray and like there's just it's too much. Just relax, just be a I don't know, that's just my opinion. Everybody's different, everybody's on their own journey also, so like I think it's really important to also recognize what works for you may not work for other people, and that's okay. Like, that's the beauty of there being 7 billion people on this planet and us having different countries and cultures and languages and just ways of being and ways of looking at the world. Like, there's beauty in that. And I feel like God, whatever he looks like and however you want to kind of view him, her, it, she, whatever, like the universe, whatever you want to call it, like I'm pretty sure God celebrates the fact that we are all a bit different in how we view him or the universe or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, I just think it's kind of like a beautiful thing. So yeah, hopefully what I'm saying made some sense. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if any of it resonated, or like where are you at in your journey with God, spirituality, religion. Let me know, because I'm very, very curious and I love hearing from you guys in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having an amazing week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.